guys, today I'm gonna be talking about the movie All the Bright Places and the place it has in my heart and how my 15-year-old self is very pleased with this movie. First I'm just gonna talk about like three little tiny things about the movie that I loved. Firstly, the soundtrack is brilliant. The song Too Young to Burn is incredible. The score is also amazing, and lastly, just like the setting of the movie is like really pretty. It's set in Indiana, but I think it was filmed in like Ohio or something. How I think I'm gonna structure this is I'm gonna talk about like the two main characters of the movie. So I'm gonna talk about Finch first, and then Violet, and then we're gonna talk about them together, and then I'm gonna talk about after Finch. Because, you know, even though it's about these two characters who are like romantically together, they also have their own like individual, I don't know, personalities and storylines, and that deserves to be shown as well. Finch is played by a person of colour, Justice Smith, which is incredible. I don't remember if they specified his race in the book, but it doesn't really matter because it's always good to have like representation in the movie, because I know in the book I related a lot to Finch, so I feel like people who maybe didn't grow up with the book and watch the movie and can see themselves in him, both from the perspective of someone who just like wants to escape and has like mental issues, and you know, someone who's a person of colour who can relate to, you know, just him as a person aside from, you know, his mental condition, which I'll get into. I like how they made Finch like actually funny instead of just, I don't know, like broody, and I don't know, just like making it seem like his like mental health was like the only thing that defined him. He was just also a really funny character, which was fun to see in his sessions with the school counselor and just like him with his friends and with Violet and stuff like that. In his room he has like a wall, I guess you can call it, where he writes down little things on post-it notes. One real cute thing was that he wrote, "Because she smiled at me." I know they had post-it notes in the book. I can't remember if that quote was specifically in the book. It's been a long time since I read it and it's not with me, unfortunately. It's with my parents. I just thought it was really cute. I'm not sure of the significance of the post-it notes. I probably should have done more research into it, but it just seems like his mind is just going really fast and he wants to try and slow things down by writing things on post-it notes and trying to remind himself of like, I don't know, like the good things in life, and I don't know, quotes from books and poetry and stuff like that. It is very highly likely that Finch has undiagnosed bipolar, and this is because like he does things without thinking and he gets into like really dark moods and he goes like disappearing for days at a time. It's just very likely that he had bipolar but never sought treatment for it. In order for him to try and get out of his head, he goes for like a lot of runs, and in the book he would go running for like hours at a time. Also in the book he would stay awake for like days at a time. I can't remember exactly the reason why he was fascinated with this, but in the book they spoke about how there was someone who tried to stay awake during one of the soccer tournaments to watch like every single soccer match, but then they died due to exhaustion like 12 days later or something. And Finch was just fascinated by this, and I think he was trying to like beat the record or something. I'm not too sure. Finch also constantly plays with death and is just trying to see like how long he can hold his breath, and it just seems like this is like a foreshadowing of, spoiler alert, his death. There's a scene where like he holds his breath for like a really long time in a bathtub. Also when he goes to the swimming hole with Violet, he goes under for like 2 minutes. He had an abusive father who left him when he was a kid, and he tries to understand why his dad was the way that he was, and if there was anything that could be done to change his behavior and how violent and aggressive and abusive he was, because Finch is worried that he's become like his dad and that there's no hope for him. So he tries to talk to his sister and see if there's help for his dad, because he's worried that he's gonna turn out to be like his dad. During a group therapy session, he explains that he gets into these dark moods, that his thoughts are like constantly racing, and he tries to like write things down on the post-it notes, but like his mind goes blank. Oh wait, I think he explained this when Violet went over to his room. Anyway, he mentally disassociates himself from situations a lot. For example, he got into a fight with Violet's friend Roma, played by the guy that played Ben Kirk on Neighbours, which I loved. Finch almost kills Roma, and he hits his friend who tries to break up the fight. And in group therapy, he explains how like he was there, but he wasn't there. It was kind of like he was watching himself. Yeah, I don't really know how to segue to this, but I'm going to talk about Violet now. Not too much to talk about. She's played by Elle Fanning, which I love. In the movie, they made her less bitchy, which I appreciate a lot, because it made it hard for me to like her in the book, because she was just so rude to Finch. In the book, Finch posted a song to Violet saying, "I met you standing on a ledge." In the movie, it was taken down before anyone could see it, but in the book, the Instagram post was seen by the entire school. I'm gonna have some lunch and I'll be back. Violet pretended like she was the one that saved Finch from suicide, not the other way around, because her friends and everyone else in the school were more likely to believe that Finch is crazy, and therefore he would be more likely to do something like that. And also, she didn't want to ruin her like picture-perfect image of herself, because she's popular. So, you know, if people found out that she tried to kill herself. And when this book was written in like 2012 or something like that, I don't know, but like back then suicide was very taboo. The reason that she tried to kill herself in the movie and in the book as well is that she had a sister who died in a car accident that they were both involved in, and it was her sister's birthday. And throughout the movie, she's still dealing with her grief of losing her sister. She refuses to get into a car, for example, because of the car crash that she was involved in. So she gets around through town on her bike. Now let's talk about Finch and Violet. They meet at the ledge of a bridge because Violet is attempting to kill herself and Finch is going for a run and happens to be going past that bridge. He then talks her down, which was really great, and I don't know, I just thought it was nice that he was willing to do that for someone that he'd like never spoken to before. They both go to the same school and are in some of the same classes. Violet walks into class late one day and she drops all her books and the class is laughing at her. And Finch notices that she's embarrassed, so he flips a table to take the attention away from her. And then they smile at each other. And hence the post-it note that said, "Because she smiled at me." The class that they're in, the teacher wants them to work on a project together where they go like wandering through Indiana to try and find cool places within their town and within their state. Finch asks Violet if she wants to be partners, and she says yes, but she refuses to go in the car. So they go wandering on bikes together. During one of their wanders, she tells Finch why she was at the bridge. The reason was because it was her sister's birthday. When they go wandering, they leave little things at the places they wander. It's like, I don't know, like a mini dice and stuff like that. Or is it dice? Dice are plural. Dice. They leave dice and like small little things like that at the places they go wandering, which is adorable. Finch encourages Violet to open up about her sister. I mean, he's a little bit pushy for sure, but his intentions are pure. He tries to push Violet out of her comfort zone, but is always wary of her boundaries. For example, at first he just gets Violet to sit inside Finch's car and before this, Finch tells Violet's parents that they're doing a school project together and that he's like assuring them that he's never had so much as a speeding ticket before and that he won't drive over the speed limit and that his car's insured and all these kind of things to reassure the parents. So then like they feel safe letting their daughter go inside a car with someone they've never met before. So at first he gets her to sit inside his car, just get used to it. He throws his keys away to reassure Violet that he's not just gonna drive without her permission. And then he loses his keys, which is so funny. And then he tells her that we will go like 30 miles through town and 50 miles on the interstate. I don't know what that translates to in my language. I assume it's around like 60 kilometers and then 100 kilometers, which is like pretty standard. And he always tells her that if at any point she wants to stop because it gets too much, then they can stop. During their car ride, Violet tells Finch about the car accident and everything that happened, and then Finch holds her hand to reassure her, which is sweet. They then go 160 miles away from town, which I think is about 250 kilometers. So it's a long way away. I think it's like a 4 to 5 hour drive. They drive so long because a man built a roller coaster in his backyard, and this was also in the book, and I was really excited to see it in person. Well, not in person, but like on screen, because I had spent so long trying to envision what it would look like to see like a mini roller coaster in like someone's backyard, and it was the coolest thing in the world. I love that scene to death. He encourages Violet to start writing again because her and her sister used to have some type of blog where they would like write stories and stuff on it, and Violet hasn't really written anything after her sister's death. So he gets her to journal down all the places they've been to because it's part of their project. And you know, Finch is the one that like picked all the places, so it's only fair that she writes down everything. He calls her ultraviolet with the quote, "You're all the colours in one at full brightness," which is adorable, and it was also in the book. And then, you know, Finch and Violet start dating, which is adorable, and Violet starts having lunch with Finch's friends because her friends are trash. And they go to a swimming hole one day. The swimming hole's beautiful, by the way. Finch goes swimming and he's like underwater for like over a minute, and Violet is terrified that something's happened because before they go to the swimming hole, Finch is telling her a story about these two people in the 50s who went swimming and they just like never came back, and people don't know what happened. Like, it's assumed that they like drowned, foreshadowing what happens at the end. But anyway, Violet's scared because she's like, what if that happened to Finch? That wasn't fun. Don't scare people, Finch. They go to an abandoned train track one day, and the "I met you standing on a ledge" scene is so cute. I met you standing on a ledge. They then fall asleep at the train tracks, and they wake up the next morning, and Violet's parents get mad at her when Finch drops her off because they were worried about her, you know, like parents would be when like your 17-year-old, I think she's 17, I'm not too sure. Anyway, like a teenage kid goes missing. Of course they're gonna be worried. So then Violet's parents tell Finch to go home, and it's basically just assumed that like the parents aren't gonna let Finch see her for a while or ever. So he gets rid of his post-it note wall, which is so sad. And then he paints the poster wall blue because he's feeling blue, I guess. I don't fucking know. It's probably just because he likes the colour blue. I don't know. It could be one of those instances, you know, when your English teacher's like, he painted the wall blue because he was feeling blue and it's a mask of his depression. And we're all like, nah, bitch. Painted it blue because blue. He then moves into his closet. Like, he takes his blankets and pillows and laptop inside the closet, which he does quite often in the book. He might have only done it once, but it just seems like he's done it a lot. Violet then comes over to see Finch because she's worried about him. She hasn't heard from him in a while. She sees his room and the closet and, you know, like the blue painted wall. It's only like half painted and there's still like some post-it notes, and he kind of trashed his room because he was angry. So she sees like the mess and stuff. And then once Finch notices that Violet's in his room, he tells her to leave because he doesn't want to burden her with his issues. So he like yells at her and tells her to leave. And then I think this is the last time we see him, or it might have been after he goes to see his sister and asks her about their dad. It's either one of those two scenes that afterwards he goes missing. So Violet tries to find him because she's worried about him, like a good girlfriend would be. So she goes to the bridge. He's not there. She tells her dad that she tried to kill herself on her sister's birthday and that Finch was there to save her. And they have a heart-to-heart, which is nice. And then Violet's dad, played by Luke Wilson, I love the cast in this movie, gives her the idea to look at the places that they've been wandering, because they've been to a lot of places together, so maybe he's gone to one of them to think. So she looks at the swimming hole. She might have gone to other places, I can't remember, but she drives to the swimming hole. Important, drives. She's getting behind the wheel again. And she sees Finch's car and sees his clothes on the rocks next to the swimming hole, and she tries to call out for him and he doesn't answer after a while, so it's presumed that he is dead, possibly drowned and possibly from suicide. As sad as this is, it's kind of like a full circle moment because Finch talked Violet down from committing suicide and then he ended up committing suicide himself, which is just so heartbreaking. I guess now I'm going to talk about like after Finch. There's about 20 minutes left in the movie and those last 20 minutes break my heart so much. I sobbed like a baby the first time I watched it. There's like a montage of all the places that they went together and how they're all empty now. Violet's crying in the foreground while the police lights are seen in the background. And then there's Finch Memorial. His mom's there, the sister's there, Violet's there, Violet's parents are there. A lot of people are there. But like, why are Violet's friends there? Like, why the fuck is Roma there? Like, Finch tried to kill him. Violet and Amanda. Amanda is... Did I talk about Amanda? I can't remember. Anyway, Amanda is one of Violet's friends and her and Finch went to the same group therapy session, and Amanda was talking about how she was bulimic and that she was, and I guess still is, suicidal. Violet and Amanda talk about this and Violet tells her that she would miss her if she was gone, which was nice. Violet starts doing post-it notes, which is adorable. She's like trying to emulate Finch in a way. When Violet starts journaling again, Finch gives her a book to write in, and in the Wanderer book she notices a map in there. Finch, I guess, like circled a place that he went to, and it's revealed that he stopped at a church that was created to remember those who were in automobile accidents, which is really nice that he did that because he totally didn't have to. She presents her project alone, which is so heartbreaking, and while she's like presenting the project there's like montages of things that she does, I guess. She revisits the places that they went to, but she's alone. And they did this in the book as well. She went and visited Finch's sister, played by Alexandra Shipp from Love, Simon. So when they're wandering together, they go to like a place together, and then Finch gives Violet a rock that says your turn on it, as in it's like her turn to pick a place, which was cute. But then she gives that rock to his sister. I don't know why, but it was nice. Violet then goes into her sister's room, and we see in the movie that like she pretty much refuses to go in there because it's just like too hard for her to go in there and just be reminded that she's not there. But she goes into the room and like sits down in it and stuff, which means that I guess she's coming to terms with her grief. Through Finch, she learnt that there can be bright places in dark moments, which is a really good message for anyone watching it or reading the book. And then the movie ends, I think, with her like going to the swimming hole alone and whatever. And then the end credits roll and there is a link to their website with resources to help them with mental health issues. 13 Reasons Why is quaking. I guess the moral of this movie, which I really love, and the book as well, is that people will miss you, and I think that's important to take away because it doesn't matter how like shitty you feel or how existential everything feels, especially with the world right now. Like, the world's fucked, but people will miss you. Even if it seems like no one will, people will. Please look after yourself, stay safe, and have an amazing day. Bye.